All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Monday, July 24th. Let's start the week off right. Happy Monday to everyone out there. We got a shorter MLB slate to go through today, but nonetheless, we're going to go through each and every game. I'm going to give you my lean or leans on the games as always. My final plays, though, will be in the pinned comment, so make sure to keep an eye on the pinned comment. I put all my final plays in there, so if you want to ride with me, that's great. If you want to fade me, your loss. Guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment. We're coming off of a finally a bounce back night here. We go 4-2. We'll take it, guys. We had 2-2 nights in a row, and I was starting to go crazy. I was like, am I a guppy? I don't feel like a guppy. We finally show our worth. 4-2 last night. Our only two losses, the Orioles and Rays over 8.5. They finish at 8. Sucks. Dodgers money line, they don't come through. I even said in yesterday's video, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Texas wins. But nonetheless, we also cashed the over in that game. We had the Twins money line, who they won, I think in the 12th inning. They were losing like 3-0, came back late, brought it to extra innings and won. So like, there was a lucky win for us too. And then the Cubs money line, we sniffed that one out for plus 125. And then Shohei Ohtani brought us back to life. If you watched the TikTok, you watched the Instagram reel, guys, Shohei, I was like, he's going to bounce back with us. His first at-bat, Yabo. All right, so here we go, 4-2 night. And even more impressive than anything I did last night, how about DMV Pride here, hitting 2 rides of the day? Now, you're probably like, 2? Why'd you ride with 2? All right, little backstory here. So, obviously, we had the Logan Webb the day before, and everyone in the comments was on Logan Webb. So, it wasn't even like, you know, the Douglas who had the one ride of the day that lost. A bunch of people in the comments. I could have picked any of them. And DMV was like, why is all these people picking Logan Webb? I did more research. My ride of the day hit, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, you know what? Let's go, man. Like, you have a good pick tomorrow. I'll ride with it. He drops 2 rides today, and I was like, hey, you're putting your money where your mouth is. I said, if you give me a pick today, I'll ride with it. The pressure's on. He doesn't give me 1 pick. He gives me 2 picks. Actually, he gives me 3 picks. The same game parlay as well, both for plus money and cashes. So this dude put his money where his mouth is, in all respect in the world. They're coming through and hitting both of those. So guys, if you do want to be the ride of the day, I don't know if it's going to get as dramatic as that, you know, a little storyline, but all you got to do is use hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Use that hashtag. Give me an absolute lock in the comments with that hashtag, and I'll be jumping on board with one person's play and giving you guys a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button before we jump into today's video as well. We're about to hit 26,000 subscribers. 26,000 subscribers. It's like an NBA arena. Are you guys kidding me? You're a bunch of psychos. But yeah, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, comment, and like, and all that good stuff, guys. You guys have been super supportive as of late, and yeah, I don't even know how to thank you guys. But let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 here. We're looking at Detroit taking on San Francisco. If I'm not mistaken, this is a makeup game. It's only a 1 game. It's not the beginning of a series or anything like that. I think they played earlier in the year, only 2 games. One must have gotten postponed, but nonetheless, Detroit taking on San Francisco here. Minus 135 is where we're sitting at for money line odds for Detroit. San Francisco at plus 126, and the total sitting at 9 now. I've seen 8.5 on some sports books as well, so we can go off of 8.5 or 9. Either way, I should say. I don't like the total in this game for the over or the under, so kind of gonna pass on that. We are still waiting on San Francisco to announce their pitcher, but nonetheless, this one kind of messes with me here, because obviously the Giants, I do think, are the better team, but this is just one last I guess you could say one last road game for the Giants before they get back to playing some home games here. They've played like 10 road games in a row. So, I think that the Giants win this game, but we have plus 126. So if we're looking at those odds, it's kind of like, does Vegas know what's going on here? Like, are the Giants just kind of go, all right, let's just get through this game and get back home, right? So I lean Giants, but there's something fishy going on with those odds. Maybe it's because we don't know who's pitching for them, but I lean Giants very, very slightly. And like I said, the total, I don't really have much of a take on. I guess I would lean towards the under if my theory with like them just wanting to get through this game, both teams maybe trying to get through this game to get to their next series. If that's correct, then I would definitely see them kind of just, trotting around this game versus really taking it seriously. So I lean towards the under, but guys, I wouldn't be surprised if neither one of those picks make it into the final plays. Just kind of a heads up, and I keep it fully transparent with you guys. All right, next up, we got the Phillies taking on the Orioles in this one. Phillies minus 120 right now on the money line is going to be my lean. And then in terms of a total, I'm looking at the under. In terms of why I'm leaning towards the Phillies, one, I do think that I'm going to kind of lean towards Sanchez on the mound today, which I don't really love him as a pitcher, but I do think that he's got a little bit more talent here than Kramer on the mound for Baltimore. The Phillies haven't been playing good baseball, so this is why this could be a crazy pick, but they're finally coming home after 3 games in Cleveland. And Baltimore still kind of in the middle of that road trip. So give me the Phillies here, minus 130. I like this spot for them today. They also bat righties just fine, averaging almost 7 hits per game against righties, 5 runs. I also like the under in this game, which also could be a little bit crazy because both these teams hit the righties and the lefties well. So obviously, Sanchez being a lefty, Baltimore hits lefties pretty well, and then Kramer being a righty, Philly hits the righty. So you're kind of like, why are you taking the under? Well, I'm just kind of simply looking at the offensive output for both of these teams as of late now. You can make the, the case of, okay, well, what the heck, Ev? Like Baltimore dropped, 5 runs and 6 runs. Yes, I get that. But if you look beyond that Tampa Bay series, this Baltimore offense cooled off just a little bit. And then Philadelphia, as we know here, has just kind of been super inconsistent. 8 runs yesterday for an offense that has not been performing up to standards. I don't see them doing that again. In fact, they've been going like decent amount of runs scored, 1 or 0. Decent amount of runs scored, 1 or 0. So I think this is going to be an offensive game for both of them, kind of pitchers independent. So give me the under 9.5 in this one as well. But yeah, I do like the Phillies. That might be crazy because this Baltimore team is playing better baseball, but give me the Phillies at home today on the money line. All right, we got Washington taking on the Rockies here. Washington coming off of sweeping the Giants. Colorado coming off of taking 2 of 3 against Miami. Now, that sounds impressive, but Miami's been in the you-know-what anyway, so I guess you can't really say it's all that impressive, but I'm going to lean towards Washington. We don't know who's pitching yet, but we do have odds minus 130 right now, total sitting at 9 runs. So obviously, I want to know who's pitching for Washington before we kind of go ahead and pull the trigger with this one, but nonetheless, I do think that they're playing better baseball. Colorado's starting Jake Bird, who really, only 2 starts in the year, has not looked that great. Pitches, he's like one of those opener guys, pitches a couple innings, and obviously the Colorado bullpen ain't nothing to be too proud about if you're a Rockies fan either. So give me the Washington Nationals here at home against Colorado, minus 130. But this is kind of like one of those trash series, I guess. So don't mistake me being like, yeah, Washington all day long for a fake sense of confidence, because this is still 2 bad teams playing, right? But Washington just has been playing better baseball for sure than this Rockies team, even though the Rockies coming off of a good series against Miami. But again, before we make any sort of final plays on this or even the total, I do want to know who's pitching for Washington. I don't even know who's due up for them, so keep an eye on the pin comment. I apologize for that, guys. We're recording this super early, so we don't have odds for some of these, and we also are waiting on some pitchers to be announced, especially with some new series on the board today. So apologies for that, but hope you guys respect the grind of getting up early more than you hate the fact that we don't have all the information. If that makes sense, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you, guys. All right, next up, we got the Guardians taking on the Royals here. The Guardians trotting out Logan Allen, who has been pitching really well. He hasn't let up a single earned run in 3 starts now. He's only pitched, I want to say, an average of 4 2/3 through those 3 starts, but nonetheless, still give credit where it is due. I actually have it up here. Average over his last 5 starts here, 4 1/3 pitch. And it's been less than the last 3, so probably right around that 4 1/3 as well. Going up against Yarbough for Kansas City. Obviously, they don't have many studs on the team, but he actually has been pitching decently, but I don't really buy into it. This is obviously a Cleveland spot, but they are huge favorites at minus 190, so I doubt it becomes a final play. I don't trust them on the run line, but you're not going to catch me betting on the Royals here, so I am going to look at Cleveland, maybe in some sort of parlay spot if we want to see it or if we see anything fit for it, but in terms of a total, which is why I do think that this game could be worth betting on, I like the over now. Yes, I just said that Yarbaugh's been pitching well, and Logan Allen on the mound has been pitching well as well, but guys, I think that this is just a spot where Cleveland's going to be able to put up a decent number, so you can consider their team total as well, or just the over in general. But Kansas City, other than the Detroit series, which even Detroit had a game where they scored double digits against them, but I don't really want to include Detroit into the same level as what we're talking about Cleveland here, but the Yankees dropped a minimum of 5 runs against them. They played Tampa Bay during Tampa Bay's slide, and Tampa Bay was dropping, anywhere from 4 to 8 runs on them. So I do think that the Guardians are going to be able to go out there and probably score 5 runs today, which makes this over 8.5 enticing, because if I think Cleveland's floor is 5, then damn. And even if you look at Cleveland, barring 1 game last series, and actually only a couple games in their last I don't know, 6 games, 7 games or so, they've actually been scoring an average right around that 5 to 6 run mark too, with 2 double-digit games within their last 6. So this Cleveland offense is a sneaky good right now. They're going up against a pitcher that, yes, the numbers look good, but you're not going to tell me that Ryan Yarbrough is going to go out there and shut down Cleveland. No. So give me Cleveland on the money line, maybe in some sort of parlay format, but the thing that I actually could see being an individual bet in this game is the over, because I think one team is going to be able to go out there and excel today. So I'd also look into Cleveland's team total as well. All right, Minnesota taking on Seattle. Obviously, these two teams just played a series, last week or so. They split that 4-game series, now heading into a new one. It's a 3-game series, if I'm not mistaken. Minnesota right now, underdogs. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Seattle favorites on the road here, -115. But Minnesota is going to be my lean in this one. Now, you could think I'm crazy, and in fact, I'm catching myself saying that plenty on today's Monday morning. But nonetheless, guys, I think this is a Minnesota team that's playing really well as of late, scoring a decent amount of runs, barring that one, or excluding, I should say, that one game where they had 0 runs against Seattle. They've been scoring plenty of runs as of late, and Luis Castillo, obviously an absolute stud of a pitcher, but his last couple starts haven't looked all that great now. One of them being against Minnesota, in which he pitched 6 innings, allowed 6 hits, 3 earned runs. He had 11 Ks, which is great. But nonetheless, pitching over 100 pitches there, going 6 innings. Like, Minnesota kind of got to him towards the end there. And you have on the mound here for Minnesota, you're looking at Kenta Maeda, who I don't want to gas up too much, but has actually been pitching fairly well. Now, he pitched against Seattle as well. 6 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts in this one, like 12 pitches per inning. He went out there and dealt against them. So I'm looking at the hotter team right now. I'm looking at Minnesota, but I do think this is going to be another series like we saw them play just a week ago, where it's a really good series. So I'm excited for this one. Excited to cover it each and every day. In terms of a total here, we're looking at 8 runs, which I think is just a little bit too low. Again, when they played last, 3 out of those 4 games, they went over, and the only game that did not go over was the 5-0 win from Seattle. I don't see a Minnesota offense that is kicked into gear right now, scoring 0 runs again. The other scores were 7-6, 10-3, 6-3. So give me Minnesota here for plus money at home, and then give me the over 8 runs as well. All right, Milwaukee taking on Cincinnati. As we know, these two teams have literally played each other a million times as of late, and Milwaukee has dog-walked the Reds each and every time. Now, do I think that's going to be a consistent trend through this? Not necessarily sure, if I'm being completely honest, but what I will say is this is no spot in which I'm going to say, oh, the Reds are going to bounce back right now. I need to see it before I start betting on it. So simply put here, I'm looking at Milwaukee because they have just owned this Reds team. They have Rea on the mound, 5-4 with a 4.64 ERA, going up against Graham Ashcraft, 5-7 with a 5.77 ERA. Again, this could be a spot where the Reds say, you know what, let's break the spell. They have won 4 games in a row, 5 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken, actually. Whereas Milwaukee coming off a tough series against Atlanta. But I got to see something for the Reds against this Milwaukee team before I kind of trust it. So that's where I'm at with this one. I don't know if I end up pulling the trigger with Milwaukee money line, because Cincinnati is playing well. Again, 5 wins in a row is no joke. And we saw this Cincinnati team get hot earlier, right before the All-Star break. But nonetheless, I just cannot lean that way, just based on the fact that Milwaukee legit has dominated this Reds team as of late. And then in terms of the total, 9 runs. If you also look at the score between these two teams when they play, it has been super low. If we date back their most recent game, 4-3. That's one of the higher scoring games. Before that, 3-0. Before that, 1-0. Before that, 1-0. Then they did have a high scoring game. And then the next one was also, I think that was maybe the first game which we're talking about here. But in terms of how they've been averaging, they're averaging a 4.1 to 2.9 score against each other in their last 10 games. So yeah, that says enough for me in terms of pulling the trigger on and under. Let the trends continue. I'm leaning towards Milwaukee on the money line, and then also the under. I like the under probably more than Milwaukee, because like I said, Milwaukee I could totally see losing if the Reds get hot, but the under, this is something that's been tried and true between these two teams as of late. All right, guys, before we get to the last 4 games of the slate, I am going to ask you guys to go ahead and check out our storefront, the Fade Me store, guys. Again, we launched this earlier last week, or mid last week, I should say, and I'm super excited. We poured some blood, sweat, and tears into this. Tons of products and more on the way. You can see the one that we have on in today's video, the Fade Me Wiser tee, guys. We also had the Fade Me Rona tee come back by popular demand, the Stella, the Blue Mountain. We got tons of products over there on the store right now. Again, this is the Fade Me Wiser one. If you do want to support, and I would appreciate it if you did, check out the link in the pinned comment. Head over to fademe.store and pick yourself up some merch. If you don't know where the term Fade Me started, or came from, I should say, it's just because when we started this channel, not really started this channel, when we started to dive and sink our teeth into sports betting content, everyone was like, who are you, Joe Schmo? Your picks stink. So I was just kind of responding with, all right, fade me. And we were winning, they were losing. So it kind of became a mantra here. It's like, hey, if you want to fade me, fine. But you know what? I'm giving you my opinion. I'm giving you some analytics and whatnot and why I'm taking this play. And you know what? Go ahead. Fade me. So if your friends don't believe in your picks, your buddies, your family, you know, if you have an audience, they don't believe in your picks, go and grab a shirt, put it in their face and say, okay, fade me, but you'll keep losing. So if you do want to support me, if you do want to help the channel grow and the brand grow, make sure to head over to fademe.store, guys. I would really appreciate it. And the handful of you guys that are doing that as of right now, cannot thank you guys enough. It means so much to see an order come across. And I'm seeing the names on it and recognizing the names. Super cool, guys. So make sure to check out fademe.store. Would legitimately, and I say this honestly, would mean the world if you at least just went over there, browsed, and picked something up to show your support. Thank you guys so much for the position you've put me in here. Cannot say that enough. This is another way to kind of go above and beyond. So thank you guys so damn much. Let's get back to the slate here. We're looking at a battle of Texas here. Houston taking on the Rangers. Both these teams playing pretty damn well. Houston, 6 out of their last 10, they've taken the dub. They got 3 of 4 against Oakland there, which I'm not, blowing too much smoke up the. It's still the A's. But Texas, even still, they're 7-3 in their last 10. Even after losing 3 against the Dodgers. And honestly, the Dodgers, the freight train. I give credit to the Rangers yesterday for taking that win. Like I talked to you guys about in the video too. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if they at least take one here. They did, and that's what I like Texas to do again today. Go out there and take the win here. And you could be like, oh, well, they're on the road against Houston. Still in Texas. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that big of a deal. Houston is coming home from a long road trip as well. I think they played 9 road games in a row, so maybe they're a little lackadaisical coming back, a little tired, but give me Texas on the money line. They have John Gray going for them today, who I'll say he's pitched all right. All right, he's pitched all right as of late. Going up against Bailick, who has pitched well, but nonetheless, I don't really trust him as much as I do John Gray. And this is a Texas team that I've talked about it plenty here, crushing righties as of right now, averaging over a home run a game, averaging 265 batting average with 6 runs scored per 9. They're crushing it, like 2 extra base hits as well against righties. So give me Texas on the money line here at -110. Good odds as well. And I think it's going to be a good series. We don't know who's starting for Texas tomorrow. I don't think we know who's starting for Houston either, but nonetheless, I'm trusting the pitcher. Today, the hotter team, again, 7-3 while losing 2 of your last 3 is pretty impressive if you ask me for Texas. So give me Texas. Then in terms of the total 9 runs here, I can't help but look at the over now. Houston hasn't necessarily been cashing overs as of late, obviously, but this Texas team, they've been in plenty of high-scoring games, and yesterday they kind of took the lid off of their offense and scored 8 runs like we've seen them do recently as well. So give me the over here. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. All right, Arizona taking on St. Louis. We don't have any money line odds. We don't even have an opening here, nor do we have a total. We do have the pitchers. Ryan Nelson on the mound for the Diamondbacks at home, 6-5 with a 4.82 ERA. Wainwright's got a 7.66 ERA and a 3-4 record. The Diamondbacks, I do think, are the better team, but let's not forget how hot the Cardinals were. Now, the Cubs had their way with them winning 3 of the 4, and same thing with Arizona. Cincinnati took all 3, and then they lost their last game against Atlanta, but I'll take the Diamondbacks at home here. I don't know if it becomes a final play because, one, we don't know the odds. Unless the Diamondbacks are like huge underdogs, that's what I would consider pulling the trigger. But this Cardinals team, like maybe it's just the Cubs that got to them, right? They could still be red hot. So beware when looking at this, and make sure you guys are kind of sizing up where the odds are, because we're late to get these odds. Obviously, going to be pretty exact when we do get them. So again, I like the Diamondbacks, but not even if they're like -101 favorites. Do you know what I mean? Like they'd have to be pretty heavy underdogs for me to see the value in them. And then in terms of the total, not really sure what we're going to get. We had super high high totals against Cincinnati with Arizona. And then St. Louis against the Cubs, we're sitting right around 8 to 8.5, 9. So we might get something in the middle. I'm not really sure, but if it's anywhere around 9.5, I'm leaning towards the under. If we're looking at something that's like 8, 8.5, which I don't think we'll get, I'll consider the over. So I do think there's going to be right around that sort of 8.5 to 9 runs scored in this game. But again, we want to know what the odds are, what the total is before making any sort of final play. So keep an eye on the pinned comment for that one, guys. All right, Padres taking on Pittsburgh. Padres catching, I guess what you could consider a tough L yesterday. I lean towards them on the run line. They lost the opposite run line. They lost by 2 runs here. Pittsburgh coming off an L against the Angels there. I do think that this is a spot in which the Padres take the dub and bounce back from yesterday. But minus 250? No. So maybe we could consider the Padres on the run line here at minus 125. A little bit better odds there. They do have Yu Darvish on the rock today, who's been pitching well. Last 2 starts here, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 9 Ks. Next up, he had 6 innings pitched, 0 earned run, 7 Ks. So yeah, he's looking all right as of late. On the mound for the Pirates here is Quinn Priester, who only has 1 start this season in which he got shelled. So give me the Padres in this one on the run line. Does that become a final play? I still have to, kind of to see if we can be confident in that pick, because I was that close to pulling the Padres run line yesterday. I'm so glad we didn't make that final play, because they got beat 3-1, and that one was just kind of consolation. They were losing 3-0 for like the majority of that game as well. So a little sketchy there. In terms of the total though, 8.5. I do think it's going to be tough for these two teams to get up and over, especially when I think Yu Darvish is going to pitch well. So I'm going to go towards the under here ever so slightly, but keep an eye on the pinned comment, guys, to see what we end up see what we end up actually rolling with in this game, because I like the under. I do like the Padres run line, but based on their recent history, that ain't the best, most trending play, but looking at it in vacuum, I think it is a good pick. So keep an eye on the pinned comment to see what we end up rolling with. All right, last game on the slate, Dodgers taking on Toronto. But first, if you've made it this far, which is pretty damn far into the video, go ahead and comment 21 in the comments. 2-1 for making it 21 minutes into the video. And yeah, you guys know that I love doing this, sussing out the guppies. Who are the real ones? Who are the OGs? And who are the gups out there? So comment 21 for the guppies if you are still watching at this very moment. Dodgers obviously been on a steamroll as of late. And Toronto, I guess you could say the opposite. Still winning 6 of their last 4 games, but if you kind of siphon that into their last 6 games, they've only won 2 of those. Now, not the easiest of schedules, but the same thing for the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are really winning games right now. So I have the slightest of irk to lean towards the Dodgers on the money line, but my main lean in this game is going to be on the over 9.5 right now. The Dodgers have been absolutely cashing this one, like you read about here in Toronto. Not that they've scored a lot of runs, but I do think that this could be a spot in which we see a bunch of runs scored between these two teams. Barrios on the mound for Toronto, which again, this Dodgers team, it doesn't matter who you're pitching against them, they're gonna score a lot of runs. And then Michael Grove on the mound for the Dodgers here, which is why I think Toronto is going to score a decent amount of runs. Now, his last couple starts have been good, but it was against Pittsburgh and then an off day for Baltimore, right? Before that, he's letting up through like 5 innings, 4 to 5 runs. Like, Michael Grove, I do not think is a good pitcher, both from the right-hand side too. The Dodgers averaging almost 6 runs per 9 against righties. The Toronto Blue Jays averaging almost 5 runs per 9, both above the 250 mark in terms of an average, and both sitting right around 7 or over 7 hits against righties per 9 as well. So I do like this spot. And if you look at it from a home and away perspective, those numbers look even better. The Dodgers at home against righties and Toronto on the road against righties. So give me the over 9.5. It's my main lean, in this game. And that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Again, if you made it to that 21-minute mark, go ahead and comment 21 for the gups. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.